Good evening, everyone. Once again, Chris England. This time I'm covering the FEH Channel. I'm covering it a little bit late. I originally had it set well enough as a full-on recording, but I didn't like the audio when I did it originally. So this time I'm actually going to skip the actual music video for Leaf and just go straight into the information that we want to. So let's just go ahead and let FEH talk. But instead, I'm just going to go ahead and skip. And as we get a look at Leaf's new form with all the bands against the black tentacles of doom. So this time around, we're not getting something that, like an ascended hero like we've been getting with Niffle and Moosespell, but instead we're getting something completely different, as Leaf is dead, technically. Rearmed hero. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a rearmed hero. So right from his base, we have the kit of the Arcane Blade. We have the Arcane Bladeleaf. We have Open the World. We have a brand new attack clash skill, this time attack defense. We have the Deadly Balance from his original kit. And then we have attack defense menace. So probably one thing is to note that that's very specific, as it's in his name and the weapon. So we've always been used to seeing PRFs in the game with really good effects, but this time around we actually have a weapon that's not technically, that is a pseudo PRF. In other words, a weapon that has the abilities of a PRF, but the transferability of just a regular weapon. So we're going to start out with a accelerate special trigger, and then at start of battle, if unit's HP is 25% or greater, during that battle, the opponent's attack and defense get -6. He gets a guaranteed follow-up, the opponent gets denial of follow-up, and we get a guard effect. Very good combination. And of course, when we do inherits, we always must say goodbye to the unit, so bye-bye to Leaf. Hold up, he's still there. Ah, so that's the emblem that we have for it. A red blade covered by dragon scales, which loses its color after you use it, followed by a cross mark. Okay, so basically the idea for rearmed heroes is that they can have a one-time free transfer of their skills. Now, I do kind of question if you're forced to transfer over the weapon, if you have that option to that unit, because it did actively show every single time the unit took the weapon, but that could just be the way that they're displaying it. They could easily be able to take the Clash skill or the Menace skill. But what happens, one thing to note is that it's each copy gets one round of that. So if you were to merge two units that haven't done it yet, you lose one of those uses. So probably the best bet is to have that use done before, and then maybe save one use for the merge project. That way you can still get points up. But this also means that even after inheriting, with the normal fear of using the 5-star is that the 5-star disappears. So this actually makes it a little bit easier to transfer over newer skills in general. And it refines just like a non-PRF, with the cost of somewhere between a PRF and a non-PRF. And we have a campaign celebrating the start of Rearmed Heroes. The login bonus gives you 66 of each Dragon Flower, as well as 66 Holy Heroic Grails. And then the missions. So this is kind of where I kind of draw the line with Fae and what they give out. Yes, it's very nice to get stamina potions. Yes, it's very nice to get sacred coins. Yes, it's very nice to get a lot of divine dew. But we do not need crystals. If you're really that strapped on time for leveling and you don't want to buy the Fae Pass, then just do it like in bed. But this is the kind of thing where this could have easily been like arena medals, because you're giving something to you're giving a refinable pseudo PRF to other units. So you would want the ability to have medals. You could even cut off like the N5 and just make it 1,666. As that would be enough for 3 total refines with a little bit left over. But this is just kind of like, unless they plan on using these things, I really don't see any value in it. And then, of course, we skip over to the 3 Hopes characters that we're going to be getting, celebrating the first ever units that will come from that game. First off is going to be Monica. Then we have Holst. And one thing to note, even though I couldn't pause it at quite the right time, he does come with 2 very, very valuable skills in his kit. Sadly, the attack speed ideal is locked to his 5-star, but he does come as a 4-star unit with attack speed Oath 3, meaning that we might have possibly more chances to gain attack speed Oath 4 in the near future. There's definitely that kind of possibility. Our Ascended hero is going to be Hilda. And now we have the male and female Shezes.
ほとんど下流でな。父と呼べる相手はね。
最後はシェズさん。フォドラを一人で放浪する傭兵さんだそうです。灰色の悪魔と呼ばれるお方を追いながら修行に励んでいるそうです。奥義を発動すると雰囲気が変わってかっこいいですね。モニカさん、開花英雄のヒルダさん、新進気鋭の傭兵シェズさん、そして先ほどご紹介したマキ英雄のリーブさんは記念召喚新英雄開
So once again, we have a banner that does have color sharing, which for a new banner, we haven't had something like that very recently. I believe that most of the recent new hero banners, excluding the Brave one, have been at least relatively even, albeit with one of the units being a 4-star focus. But this one's just going to be 5 stars. So we have the new hero summon, new heroes, ascended hero, and then rearmed leaf.
開花英雄&マキリーブで登場です。なんとマキ英雄さんの初登場を記念して今回の召喚では特別に40回召喚で選んでもらえるが2回ご利用いただけますよ。
Which is good because we now have a new type of hero along with ascended heroes.
この機会にぜひ
So one thing that Faye is definitely mentioning is that they're not going to be putting the rearmed heroes into the normal pool, which does kind of suck. They're announcing one of the great ends to an inheritance problem, only to say that, oh no, we're not going to be putting this in the normal pool. We're going to be putting this so that you have to use Fae Pass to get this stuff. Freebie is going to be the female Shez. By completing 2 easy missions, you get 2 copies of the 5-star. And then Holst is going to be our GHB unit this time around.
シェズさん、先ほどはありがとうございました。皆さん頼もしい方たちでしたね。私も頼りになる袋を目指しますよ。
Next up is our update happening in October.
少し早いですが、10月のアップデート内容をご紹介していきますよ。
First off is going to be the Hall of Forms, but not just any Hall of Forms. We have revivals for Hall of Forms.
お仲間にできなかった偶像さんをお仲間にするチャンスですね。今回の復刻開催で登場するのはこちらの方々。
And the first ones, it looks like, are going to be from TMS, which is a very good sign for anyone who's been wanting those units but hasn't had a chance. And one of the bonuses of having a chance to be re-released now is they actually get access to some of the skills that they missed originally. So in the case of Kyria, you had in her kit the Chill Defense Res 3 that came on Phantom Thief Nina. You have for Subat, and she also has the Red Feud that came off Flavia. For Subasa, you have the Valentia's S Flow Feather. And Crossspur Res. Mamori has the... I don't quite remember if the Distant Foil was optioned for her, but she definitely having that Crossspur Res. And then for Eleonora, we have Attack Res Ideal 4. Banners for picking up the units again.
召喚師の皆様全員がご利用いただける40回召喚で選んでもらえるもありますよ。続いてつながる
And then we have some announcement for Binding Worlds.
つながる絆から協力してくれた英雄さんを確認できるようになるそうです。こちらのボタンから確認できますよ。最後は推し英雄対戦のアップデート。推しレベルが上がりやすくなります。毎週金曜日から日曜日の3日間は対戦でスコアを獲得していると推しレベルがさらにプラス10されます。回数制限 ありませんので、この機会に推しレベルをどんどん上げてくださいね。
So bonus points when winning levels during the weekend.
限界突破なし&絆なしのカスタムルール。
So this is actually a very good addition to it, because now it means that the only thing that you're going to have to really worry about when you're running into enemies is high investment. Now, granted, this might mean that they're not going to touch dragon flowers, and you're also not going to be battling anything that has just base, but base might actually be, in general, harder to work with. But in general, this could be good for beginner players.
ルールが選べるようになります。スキルや立ち回りがより重要になるので、熱い戦いになりそうですね。
And with that, that's the end of the FEH channel. So we can let FEH rest for a little bit while we talk about some of the bonuses. First and foremost is going to be the rearmed heroes, starting with Arcane Bladeleaf. So one of the advantages to this is that we're actually getting a weapon that's like I said, a pseudo PRF. It's got the power of a PRF, not necessarily the most powerful of all of them, but it's a transferable weapon. Now, while this is very, very good for any kind of old units that have had no PRFs or no refines, like probably Olivia is a really good example of this, as she is a year one dancer that still hasn't been touched. You could also say the same thing with basically any early dancers in general. Leanne's probably a really good example. Sylvia is a really good example of this one. It does also mean that inheritance is going to be a little bit different. So the other thing on these is that they don't disappear. They have a one-time, I give you my skill, but I don't disappear from your barracks, which for a 5-star is very good, especially since a lot of the really good skills come on 5-star. I can't think of any units that actively prefer using skills that are available at the 4-star level. Why would you? The demerit on this one is that it's yet another skill to transfer over. So going back to Leaf's actual kit, we see the clash skills, which not only have been just released, but also have been released as straight tier 4, not a tier 3 that moves up to a tier 4, or a tier 4 with a sign of having a tier 3 made. So this does make it a very hard skill to inherit in general, as a lot of skills currently have that problem as well. So right now, with a little bit of tweaking, what you can do is by giving someone threaten, attack, defense 2, you can then transfer over the weapon, the menace, and then for the last 2 slots, you can either just go for the bonfire that he carries, or you can get attack, defense, clash 2. My hope for the future is that in general, they're going to make a lot of the high-end skills more accessible. One thing that I hear a lot of people saying that, oh, they really need to increase the size to 5. I don't feel like that's going to do enough. Because one of the while menace skills have been very, very easy to transfer over, that's not the case for any other skills. Menace is the only skill that has become relatively easy to transfer over. So, for example, Fortress Defense Res 3, while we did just get Mordecai from the Fire Festival, who has that as a 4-star, that also means that you have to find another skill to go along with it. One of the reasons why I point towards both attack speed push 4 as well as life and death 4 is both of them are very, very good examples of skills that have not only units that can transfer the skill as a 4-star without using any feathers as tier 3, or they have a lot of actual options to transfer over. Life and death 4 is a good example of the former, where there are 2 units in the normal pool that come with Life and Death 3 as a 4-star, that being base Soth and base Gi. Now, granted, they don't have as many units, and a lot of those units are very restrictive in terms of what you can transfer over. Whereas attack speed push 4 is the exact opposite. There's no actual units in the 3 to 4 star pool that come with it as a tier 3, but because of how many units it has with that in their kits, it's very easy to transfer over other skills. Probably the best example that I can think of for my personal perspective is I gave attack speed push 4 and attack speed Fortrace to my Summer Alencia by using the Leone to get the tier 3 of attack speed push, and then use a spare constant that I had to give the 4 as well as the Trace 3 to her kit. And that made for from what I can think of, very efficient inheriting ability. Now, what I could think of is they could take some of the old year 1 units, if they're not going to remove them entirely from the banner and then just place them in their own summoning pool. I would say that once every now and then you get like a special bonus where they'll come with a bonus tier 3 skill without having to promote. The other option for, depending on how they release these rearmed heroes, is it really depends on the skills that they come with. So what it might actually be is that we could get Thrasir as a rearmed hero with a tome. She's not gonna. It doesn't sound like she's gonna have a PRF special, but one of her skills would be a PRF. So that's one of the options in general for outside of just increasing the amount to 5. Because I have a feeling IS is not going to do that. I think plenty of people have said that we need to increase it. IS has done really nothing about it. They've just kept adding it, skills upon skills. I think the only time in which they would up it to 5 is if they ever decided to make a tier 5 skill, which I have a feeling that they're not going to do for at least another year or two if they decide to do it. So the next portion of this is the campaign. And while I value the feathers, or I value the flowers, I value the grails, I have absolutely no value in crystals. I think that these should be phased out for either colored feathers or basically any kind of colored item you can think of. Just remove this. It doesn't help. None of the crystals to me help push forward the game. These are kind of a worthless item that they put in just to make you feel like you got something good. Next up would be the actual heroes. So I will talk about them in a separate banner for the actual trailer, but we do get Monica. Holst as our GHB is very good because he opens up with the Oath skill, which we've had no Oath in 4-star from what I can remember. The last time I saw something was on Kamui, and that was a 5-star skill in exchange for the speed defense ideal being 4-star. We have Hilda as our Ascended, which I honestly think is a very good choice. We have the male and female Shezes. I believe that, once again, since female Shez is our freebie, she is not going to have a very good kit. Whereas male Shez is definitely going to have some level of good kit because he is a 5-star. But we then have our banner. So the red, blue, green. So no colorless this time around. So colorless is kind of a dud pull unless you're looking for something very specific in the colorless pool. So once again, female Shez, freebie for any new players. Very good, especially since she might actually come with something good. And then Holst is our GHB. Once again, I saw very, very high damage output from him. So that's a very good sign that he is a dangerous unit and a very, very high value +10 project for pretty much any player in general. As for the updates, I think the most valuable update is for the Holoforms Revival. Not just because you're getting a chance to get new units, but the fact is that they're starting you off with TMS. TMS has been a long time, very high value game in general. Due to, in part, with the fact that they've only had one banner and yet they've still got a very high level of followers. I think the fact that Toma Akagi, one of the units that's surprisingly not in the game, who's playable, has marked so high on pretty much every single CYL that it's very surprising that they're not taking this as saying, hey, we may need to try a TMS again. Just make another banner, use some other characters, see what they can do. They've never done that up until now. This to me is a very good window of opportunity to try and say that we want more TMS stuff. We want more outside Fire Emblem stuff. I don't know if anyone wants Warriors. I have a feeling that one would be kind of like, you could do those as just like GHB, Tempest Trial, or anything. But Cypher would be one of the best examples of something that they could easily put into the game, especially since Emma, Shade, Randall, and Yuzu all made it into Echoes for some random chance through DLC, but they haven't done anything like that for Heroes. And now that the game is fully dead, I wouldn't say the most dead it's ever been, but now that it's dead enough to no longer exist, I do believe that there is value in putting those characters into the game. And then the bonus, of course, comes from the fact that you now have more access to the other skills that might actually be more worthwhile. So instead of having to choose specific fighters, you may have the option to turn Mamori into something like similar to what Hector is. Probably not to the same effect. I'll say for my personal thing, I don't really care for Binding Worlds. All I see is orbs and flowers. That's really it. I don't see, like, the bonus items are nice, but I really don't see any bonus. Summoner Duels I've really not cared about for the last couple months, just because it is a very painfully hard mode. Because, unfortunately, it's one of those examples where whales will always win. The people who have the wallets to spend on the game and to plus 10 high invest, they will usually be the ones to take like the high spots. Now, the ruling that they're making for level 40, no merges and no bonds, does help a little bit, but it doesn't really. I really would be interested in seeing just base forms, so base values. So instead of going anywhere beyond like adding new skills to the kits, you're just allowed to use the kits, the stuff that they originally come with. So base refines, base skills, base ABC passives. That's personally what I think, but I have a feeling that that's a very minor point. I know that some people have said that they're getting sick and tired of Summoner Duels. I can't say for certain why they are. I can say for certain why I am. But for me, that's about all that I had to say about this FEH channel. I do think that the Rearmed Heroes was a very beautiful addition, but that's it for this round. So thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you another time. Bye.